So I just watched this debate. Me and Honey here, we watched this thing. Oh boy, it was wild and woolly stuff. They talked about golf. There was a lot of golf talk. And there was a lot of maybe things that were untrue, but I don't know. Like, I'm not a fact checker. But so basically, what happened tonight is that a debate took place. Hey, what's up? People are here. Love the hat. That's right. I found this in my hat closet. I think it's my wife's. So I was like, hey, I'll put this hat on. That's right. Let's go. What up? Let's effing go. So what'd y'all think about that debate? Yeah? It was debatey, huh? They didn't have an audience. I guess that's new. I don't remember. Let me start by qualifying. I don't watch a lot of real news. If you've followed me for a while, you might know that I like the news that isn't real news, basically. Because I stopped watching real news in 2017. 2017 made me real sad. So I just kind of stopped watching real news. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to just watch stupid news. Um, is Honey libertarian? I don't know that Honey aligns with a specific political party yet. I'll have to talk about Honey about his views sometimes. Honey might be an anarcho syndicalist. I don't know. Is that a cougar hat? Tell me the difference between cougar and leopard. Because I never know which one's cougar and which one's leopard. Because I feel like you're able to use one word. Oh, one of my lights isn't on. Hold on. I'm supposed to turn that on. There we go. One of my lights is on now. It's alerting me. It's like, hey, you have to have a well lit green screen. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll light it. Even though I think part of my gold color is mixing with the green screen now. It was painful, Fabrizio. Those men can't produce saliva. It did sound dusty. And I feel bad for them. Because sometimes some of the pills you take, they just give you that dry mouth. Or sometimes some of these substances you take. Your ex comments kept me going during that debate. I don't watch many events live. And like I was saying, I stopped watching the real news in 2017. So like I know that there was an insurrection and stuff, and I know that we have a new president. Man, I don't think I've watched any footage of that new president. I don't think I watched the inauguration. And that's my ignorance shining through, because I choose to follow the news that's not important. It was very dry from Fabrizio. Leopard has spots. Cougar is a puma mountain lion. When will suit and a hairdo make a comeback? My suit's on the ground over on the side here. I'll pull it out someday. Cougars give you snacks when you leave in the middle of the night. It's good to know. That is good to know. But so I had not seen Joe Biden. Like I'll see clips go around, but yeah, I have not watched the news. Is basically what I'm trying to say. That was alarming tonight. That was shockingly alarming at how old the guy sounded. Now, just because somebody sounded young doesn't mean they were saying truthful things. So that is the difficult part about how elections and like popularity contests work, because I totally identify that, like, hey, one guy pops on screen and the other guy doesn't, but that's not necessarily what the content is, and I'm not smart enough to know what the content is they're saying. So I would like to more focus on the golf portion. So when two old guys start comparing golf scores, that is some serious shit, because that's all they have to care about. I think once you probably get over the age of 48, I don't think there's anything else to care about. Like, because I think they even stopped getting like regular tail. Like, I don't think Trump or Biden are getting ass on the regular, and I'm sorry for being crude, but for real, I think that's what a lot of people are doing stuff for early in their life, whether it's financial, prowess in the gym, My physique is incredible and I do that to get ladies or significant others or partners in some way, shape, or form. But once you get old, it's your golf game. So when you see two old MFs going at each other about their golf game, that's like sex. That's like them comparing dong size, basically. So when you hear an old guy say my handicap is a 6, and another guy's like, that's bullsh. He's basically saying, you've got a tiny D. And so that's what we witnessed up there. Was we witnessed two old guys basically whipping it out over who could hit the ball farther and who has a better handicap. And that's what I hate to have to admit is that was a terrible road for Joe Biden to go down because Trump will kick his ass on the golf course. Like, I mean, the guy owns golf courses. No offense to Joe Biden. I'm sure he's a fine human being. Trump owns golf courses. He's been on the golf course a hell of a lot more. I think the likelihood of him hitting a farther drive, yeah, stupid golf argument. Morikawa. No wonder Kevio likes golf. But I think the likelihood of Trump hitting a farther drive is much, much better. Like, I don't think Biden stands a chance. He didn't look like he could complete thoughts, which I won't judge because I'm the same way. I do take a medication where before this I was like, hey, I used to be able to complete thoughts a lot better. And then now, once they put me on these meds, it's like my brain just stops working at random times. So I don't want to judge a guy, but that doesn't mean I think I should elect the guy either. So that's tough. Now, that being said, then you have to go with who the other option is. And I remember the last time. That thing, I stopped watching the news in like 2017 because it made me sad. But I do remember 2016, 2017. It was a weird time. So that's what's tricky about post-debate coverage is you're like, hey, I watched a lot of Celebrity Apprentice. And I like the way this guy uses his mafia scowl on screen. But I don't know that that person is the best for my day-to-day life. But on the other hand, that other guy I'm looking at looks like he's about to die before the election. So I don't know what to do. And in the 10 minutes I listened to post-debate coverage there, uh, that's the thing. If you do a pay-per-view, and I never watched the Phil Mickelson Tiger Woods thing that aired, and I'm sure it was probably garbage. But yes, if you put them against each other, I would watch it, and I would honestly respect the results. I would be like, fine. You know what? The guy won at golf. Our guy agreed to it. That's fine. If we had put up a younger guy, maybe he would have kicked his ass at golf. Or maybe not. That's the thing. My old man, what year is it? 2024? My old man was born in 57. So he's 67 years old now? Good Lord. He could kick my ass at golf. My old man is damn good. You know why? Because he's an attorney who's old and plays golf all the time. He hasn't had kids in the house for decades at this point. He plays golf all the time. So why hasn't the term been canceled like all others? I don't know. They should impose term limits if that's what you're asking about. I think age limits should be required. I think this is a big learning. If we're getting real honest, I think this is probably a real big learning moment for the country at large. I've never been through this before. Honestly, I'm 39. So every president I've had to date has been relatively mentally fit and never convicted of any significant crimes against the government to a degree. I don't think our Agent Orange Big T guy has been convicted of anything against the government, so that's fine. But to date, like I was, Nixon predated me, so that was kind of always like the scandalous president before us. And then we got Clinton, who was doing the cigar thing and getting mouth hugs all the time. And I was a little young for that, but that seemed kind of okay. And I don't mean okay in like a sense where like I'm okay with that. I mean, I think a lot of corporate dudes are doing that already. I think the Harvey Weinstein certainly reinforces that not only were they doing it, but they were doing it for in ways to manipulate positions below them to ensure that they were in control of situations, basically. No, the term handicap. Sorry. No, it is a very ableist term. No, that's actually an excellent point. I worry a lot of times about saying things are insane. Like, since I did get diagnosed with epilepsy, I do worry about ableism a little bit sometimes. Where I'm like, well, no, you don't want to say things are insane. Things are maybe a little bit weird, but then you're just like, you know what? Just talk naturally as long as you're not offending the general public. It should be fine. But yeah, the golf term handicap is a weird term. I do avoid cripple. Cripple is not a verb I use anymore for that ableist reason. And I know this is going to sound like weird liberal stuff. But like, it's a weird word where you're like, you know what? I don't want anybody to feel like they're crippled or whatever. So I try not to use that word unless it's specific to a situation. Moving on, golf. I'm bad at golf. I've played, I don't think I've ever realistically shot above a 91. And even that I'm probably lying about. I bet it was a 95 on my best day. Really best day. But my favorite golf story is, so I started playing golf pretty young, like 11, 12. And so when I started playing golf, the first time I got in a golf cart, I didn't know how to drive it. And so I drove down a hill because a lot of times on the first tee box, the tee box is kind of elevated and then you hit down and the green is farther down. They're like, hey, give you some confidence here. It's a long par four. What's on Max mind? Man, I forget what's on Max mind today? Well, yeah, that one. I remember that one now. But anyway, so I take this golf cart for the first time. And again, I don't know golf etiquette. First few times when you're playing golf, you don't know a lot of the like, hey, you don't hit into people. If somebody's up on the green in the middle of a putt, you certainly don't drive your golf cart up to them, hang back in the middle of the fairway and stuff like that. Even if you did accidentally just hit into these guys for some dumbass reason because you're a 14-year-old kid or 13-year-old kid. But anyway, so I drive this golf cart down this hill, and there's 3 or 4 old dudes on the green putting and putting out, and they're just finishing up their hole. And man, my golf cart slammed right into the back of them. It was an amazing time to be alive. Huge embarrassment. I don't think I caused any real significant damage, but I was probably at my best in golf at 17. I think to get good again, I'm going to need to get rich and need to retire and be old. Because I think that's the key. You either have to be super young and have nothing to do, or be old, rich, and retired, and then you can get good at golf again. So I think that's what I need to do. Also, if I could be tall, I think that would help tremendously. All right, back to the debate. So how it started was Biden rambled a lot, like a whole hell of a lot. And I was just, sorry if my mouth made a weird noise. I've been drinking. So I was just kind of watching on my phone. I did not sit down and watch this. I was kind of moving around the house doing different stuff. And it sounded like an 8th grader reading a run-on sentence for probably the first 10 minutes. Was it Steve Aretaville? Damn right it's Steve Aretaville. The Steve Aritas are right here. We're having a good time. Oh, yeah. Segment intros? Let's play a segment intro here before we get into the debate a little bit more. Where's Shrunk the News? Give it to me. Is this it?
Seems like you don't have a clue, so honey, I shrunk the news. You look like you got too much to do, so honey, I shrunk, honey, I shrunk, honey, I shrunk the news.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. See, it's a tough go. I'm not a fact checker, so I've not parsed any of the actual content of what these people said, nor am I an historian in any way, shape, or form. So I don't really remember what happened. But Biden looked terrible. So from a pure optic standpoint, and from the 10 minutes of post-debate coverage I listened to, I would not be surprised if there is legitimate chatter about, hey, is there a way to replace this guy or get him to forfeit his delegates to somebody else so that we could get somebody who can legitimately debate or survive for more than maybe 8 months? Because no offense to the Biden family, and I don't mean the Biden crime family, if that's what you're going to say, but I don't know how much longer the guy's got. And I think he's been a great public government official. Yeah, that's about all I'll say. But he probably doesn't need to run again. I'm sure he feels obligated at this point. But he was terrible tonight overall. I don't think it was a win in any way, shape, or form. Trump, on the other hand, damn. That was what I would call pure YMCA Trump. It seemed like he was having a good time, and he has what I call a mafia scowl, and it's not me who calls it that, it's just anyone. It's this particular scowl that Joe Biden just doesn't possess. Joe Biden's resting face is that of like a, hey, what are you doing? As opposed to a, what the F are you doing? And so, from a pure optics standpoint, it's impossible to deny that, man, Trump looked incredibly good tonight compared to this other guy. So that's where I do have to rely on like legitimate fact checkers to be like, well, 98% of what this Trump guy said really doesn't align with reality. And, 89% or 94% of what this Biden guy says doesn't align with reality because he has dementia. So one of them's just like intentionally lying, and that's great. And I don't know that. Again, I'm just putting words in people's, hey, I don't know. He might not be lying. He might be a truth teller for all I know. But I'll wait on legitimate fact checkers. But then the other guy, he's saying Lord knows what. It seemed like he was, like I said, reading off a book report like an eighth grader. Where it's like, I don't think anybody asked you about what you're talking about right now, but it seems like you're supposed to reference it at some point tonight, so you're just going to go to it. So exactly, he has dementia, and that's why I feel bad. Like, I said, I take certain meds, and I'm happy to be honest about that. That will make my brain legitimately freeze up, and you're like, hey, I forgot a word that I know, and that's far too young for me to be having this occur. So I totally understand it. I just don't think maybe he needs to be run out on a debate stage anymore. That's what's tough. So that's my analysis of the debate, is that Joe Biden sounded like an eighth grader, maybe reading a book report or something that like he had studied a lot for. And I think those were a lot of the stories over the last week, is that, hey, Biden has gone to Camp David or whatever to go prepare for the debate. So it seemed like he had a lot of memorized stuff. I saw a lot of the reports about Adderall and stuff. It did not look like the Adderall I know and love. So I have not used Adderall in a long time, but oh boy, did I love it for a long time. It was so, so good. Oh man, that 90s, early 2000s grade Adderall. And again, I don't know, I haven't been back. Maybe it's good stuff now too, again. But oh, back then, man, you could stay up all night, stay up for days if you wanted to, not eat a thing. It's incredible. Maybe Adderall still does that. I don't know. But I didn't see somebody who was exhibiting signs of being pumped full of Adderall or amphetamines or anything like that. No, it looked like a guy who had never been in front of a camera before. And I'm sorry I'm taking so many shots at Biden, but I hadn't watched him in probably 4 years. Like I mentioned previously, if you're just joining us, I don't think I've watched the news, like legitimate political news, since probably 2017. Like, I know who won the 2020 election, and I went and voted and all that stuff, but I was not following news coverage closely at that time. It made me all very depressed. I followed dumb news about guys who eat bull testicles every day to increase their testosterone, or teachers who quit their jobs to become OnlyFans models. That's the kind of news I follow. So when I watched tonight, like I said, to reiterate, I was alarmed. I think they probably should replace old Joe B out there. Yeah, give me those tequila recommendations. That's right, Tommy G. As soon as Biden started calling Trump a whiner at the end, Trump knew he had this debate in the bag, and you could see it on his face. I'll give Biden some credit for at least trying to, like, I don't know, go at the guy a little bit. And I'll give Trump a tremendous amount of credit, not to use a Trump word there. But seemed to, again, regardless of if he was lying, didn't come off as a particularly like nickname hungry guy. I certainly thought I would see something where like he would come up with another Sleepy Joe kind of thing, or like he would really be hunting for that. Didn't seem to be hunting for a catchphrase or anything, so I'll have to go back and rewatch it. But like I mentioned before, allow a day for fact checkers to legitimately pour through it, because I don't think the moderators had the knowledge, and no offense to Tapper, who I don't watch at all, or Dana Bash, who, again, I don't watch at all. I don't think they were stopping anybody in fact checking and saying, oh, well, you just made a comment about XYZ. That's not 100% accurate. Can you elaborate on why you said that? Which maybe that's the protocol for presidential debates historically. Maybe it isn't. I thought it was, but I'm also not a presidential historian. So Adderall plus Hims. What's Hims? Is Hims the boner pills? There's too many. Do y'all think that too? Like, because what's the difference between the low T? Like, I'm not being paid by anybody. What's the difference between the low T clinics and the boner pills? So, like, one is testosterone, but will testosterone give me more, like gumption, as they say? Won't that correspond to me getting a little bit more every weekend or something? Or with it, when it's stuff like Hims or Viagra, that's like an instant 4 hour thing, So you don't have to go to a clinic and get a shot, from what I understand. But wouldn't the other one do it basically? And then why are there so many of them? Because I feel like Hims, they market stuff to me randomly on social media where it's like, yeah, just put this patch on your taint, and then you'll be ready to go 24 hours a day. And you're like, well, I don't want to wear a patch around on my taint to be ready to go 24 hours a day. I think I'm still good. I don't think you need to advertise this to me. All right, let's see what we got here. Sex crazed cicadas from Droopy Dog. We've got, it was a Trump move, damn right. Wish they had video on hand, like, sir, you say you didn't say, but let's say you watch the video. Bought our mints according to my IG, but I'm okay. Honey with an arm. I hate that they didn't have to answer questions. They can literally talk about whatever they want. That's right. It's free market. Taint patch. Yeah, like, I think there's like a patch now. Well, I'm like, can you just throw a patch down there? Sometimes it's even like a cream or something. Where I'm like, again, I see the social media advertisements, and I don't want to say that it's exclusive to male products. I oftentimes see social media advertisements or advertisements for female products as well, where I'm like, oh my, is that what the women are engaging with nowadays? Lord, do I feel inadequate now? That seems like it's got not only vibrating and pulsing motions that I might not have at the ready on my unit, it also seems to have some significant size advantages and maneuverability in its bending motion that I don't know that I possess. Yeah, get your gumption back. That's right. People don't use the word gumption anymore. I feel like Forrest Gump ruined that. I blame Tom Hanks. Yeah, what's the pink pill? I do hear that advertised. Is there something for women now? Because I love that advertisement, not to call out a particular company I might have used to have contracted for. But there's a show that I used to maybe part-time produce, work for kind of halfway. And during their show, they advertise something where it's like, 70% of women don't have a high sex drive like the other women who are getting down all the time. And I'm like, man, is my wife listening to this right now? Because I really hope she is. So I think that might be the pink pill that Fabrizio was talking about. Honey, you would never apply a taint patch. Don't let him talk about that. All right, just prepared for the moment. Hot. That's right. I think there's whole other pills like that. I forget the name of them, but I've seen those commercials too, where that's a whole different brand. Where it's like Viagra, you got to know you're getting ass tonight. If you're taking Viagra, it's like, hey, if I pop this thing's going to be going for 4 hours, so I need somebody to grind on it. But there's another one where they definitely show an old guy in a kitchen getting down. And it's like 24 hours a day. You're ready anytime when you take this. Unlike Viagra, there's other blue pills that are Jayhawks. Man, I forget the name of that one. Provasic. No, Provasic might be from The Fugitive. I can't remember anymore. Lipitor? No, Lipitor's for your heart. Lipitor will heart you up. Tommy, I don't know that I can put that on screen, but I'm just going to keep it up there for a long time. Cialis! Thank you, Hank. Cialis is the name of it. And they've always got like At Last by Etta James on top of it. And it's a guy banging his wife for the first time in like 2 years. And it's like, see, you didn't have to take a Viagra. You just had to take Cialis every day for 2 years. And then someday she'd open up that old dusty old claptrap and let you in there. Yeah, I love that commercial. Man, I'm going to go watch Cialis commercials after this. All right, so debate wrap up. I'm not going to lie. I think from a pure presence standpoint, undeniable, Trump won that thing. The optics and presence and bravado, all Trump. It's bravado all day. The fact checking, I'm going to have to wait because I'm not smart. I would assume, and based on the responses I've heard from Joe Biden historically, he aligns with a type of policy that typically relies more on institutions, is what I'll say. Is what I'll say. And institutions and bureaucracy can be absolutely terrible in many circumstances, but at other times they can operate and function well. So that's what I would imagine he was trying to convey in some of those responses. I didn't get it. He sounded like an eighth grader to me, like a 98-year-old eighth grader who was rambling off a report that somebody had fed to him for a week. So I'll say he at least seemed convicted the few times he was talking about, yeah, you definitely had sex with a porn star. He knew that for a fact. He knew Trump had sex with a porn star. So there was a lot of that going on where he was at least convicted in some of that kind of stuff. I don't want to be ready for 4 hours unless I clear it with my partner, right? That's the danger. Even taking half one of those, what am I supposed to do? I'm all worked up now. And we're going to watch Breakfast at Tiffany's? What the F am I supposed to do with that? All right? Hey, David. You need your partner to finish now. Hold on, I'm the quick finisher. That's me. That's my nickname. All right, forever. Free trial pack included with purchase of Steve's Taint Patches. The STP, as I call it. Some people consider it Stone Temple Pilot. Some people consider it like a racing oil. But no, the Steve's Taint Patches, they're coming around. They're a big deal. So anyway, I feel bad for Joe Biden is what I'll say. I don't know what the Democrats are going to do. I think, if I recall correctly, the guy who was honking Lauren Boebert's boobs inside of Beetlejuice, I think that guy was a Democrat. That's the guy you need to call. Because, look, I'll be 100% honest. I was probably raised Republican. My family is relatively well off on my old man side. My folks are divorced. My mom's side, I don't know. I'm poor by all accounts. I'm way closer to being homeless than I am being a millionaire. But I also live in Texas and I like no state taxes and shit. So it's a weird world we grow up in when you're like halfway poor and more related to the poor middle class than you are the billionaire class. So you're like, I don't know, man. So I would say hit up the Democrat who honked Boebert's boobs because at least he's willing to reach across the aisle. I think that's a good guy to go. Oh, God. Oh, all right. So, sorry, David's in the chat. I think David kind of sums up a lot of what this entire broadcast has been around or been about. Biden looked so damn old. Like, and I don't pay attention to politics. I just don't. I refuse to put on the news in the morning, and that makes me a terrible American. I've started watching some FBI and spy shows, so I'm into some criminal stuff now, but I don't want to watch I don't want to hear about a kid who got strangled to death by a bad parent or something. Like, and that's a lot of what the news is when I turn it on. I'm like, I can't hear it, man. I don't want to do it. In conclusion, I think the boob honker is who we need. I don't, did I ever get the door hinges? No. Old white men should not be allowed to run. I think that's also something that we will learn. And I think I mentioned that maybe 30 minutes ago. I do think this is a legitimate learning experience for all of us. I'm only 39. these are certainly the oldest candidates I've ever seen in my life. When I was growing up, I remember thinking that JFK was so damn young, and I'm not trying to reference a Democrat for any reason. That's just the first cat that went to my mind for a young guy. But I can certainly understand how, similar to like a Cowboys coach, I'll relate it to sports, F it, where you go from a Parcells to a Wade Phillips. And I know those are two old guys, but they're almost two polar opposites. And I can see on either side, if you get a young Republican next time that to succeed Trump here, or if you get a young Democrat that have charisma, my God, it feels like we're all just waiting for somebody under 60. Like, legitimately, it doesn't even have to be young. It does not have to be 50s even. Anyone under 60 would feel like a breath of fresh air at this point, and I have not watched it. So, Tommy G's the lefty weirdo that loves soccer. All right. Soccer. That's the one that's football, right? Let me look up my King of the Hill soccer quote. Let me see here. I didn't need Bobby, I didn't think I'd ever need to tell you this, but I would be a bad parent if I didn't. Soccer was invented by European ladies to keep them busy while their husbands did the cooking. That's how I feel about soccer. It's like hockey, where you don't even have to skate. When do I turn the big 4-0? I've got till 69 next year. So I am a 69 birthday, June 9th, just turned 39. So when I hear about people dying at 79, like Kinky Friedman today, that's a real cementing thing where you're like, damn, I am probably 100% middle-aged in the best case scenario. Like, if I make it to 80, I'm dead smack in the middle of middle-aged right now. So, like, I think I've already probably gone through my midlife crisis, but beyond that, it is tough where you're like, best case scenario, you're midlife. Worst case, whew, you're already way past it, bro. So, sorry to the soccer fans out there. Like Skin says, we need an age limit. Similar thing. I think this is a learning process for all of us where we realize as medical science has progressed and as people have been able to ingrain themselves in the political system for so long, and that's not the case of Trump. I don't want to say that Trump has ingrained himself in the political system because he's by no means a career politician, but I think they're probably... And honestly, I did not see any cognitive issues with Trump tonight beyond his standard pathological issues that I think he suffers from. No, didn't see any cognitive issues from him. But I do think this will be a learning period for us where we come back and say, similar to the Patriots, do we maybe let guys go early? Let's not roll back Biden again. Let's go with somebody else, even if it's a guaranteed loss. And I know that stings because it does have huge implications. 35 to 65 range. Yeah, that's a good one. Is the whole woman president thing forgotten? Sorry, I did not mean to skip over that one. No, and this is my naivete as well, too. So you've heard me mention a few times if you've been on the broadcast. I've not really watched or followed politics at a in-depth level since probably 2017. So I bet there are perfectly reasonable woman candidates that could run for office right now and probably carry a good amount of support based on their history or, what they've done to date in politics. I don't know who they are. That's my bad. So obviously I know who the vice president is currently. But beyond that, I am terribly ignorant in some other areas of who would be the best electable woman on both sides. Because, yeah, if it were me, I would go with Boebert's boob honker as our lead candidate to replace Biden right now. Get the guy who honked the boobs. He's a Democrat. He's willing to honk the boobs of a Republican at a Beetlejuice theater production that I bet he suggested. I'm going to be honest. I think this guy planned a date. And he said, hey, Lauren, baby, I got an idea for you. Why don't we go out to Beetlejuice? You wear that slinky gold thing. Maybe she picked it out. Maybe he didn't even have to tell her. But he said, hey, I want to take you out to the theater. there's a fascinating production in town. It's a touring company of Beetlejuice. If you say his name 3 times, he shows up and he gets all creepy. And so that guy set up this date. He's a theater aficionado. He likes a woman with big honkers. I can support that. That's a good Democratic stance to take. And he's willing to honk and vape in public. Like, I think that's the perfect brand of cool we want. Because no offense, Trump has sex with porn stars. That's badass. Like, that is undeniably badass. No, I mean, being married and doing it, not cool. Like, that's not cool to your family, not cool to your wife. And then paying the hush money, not cool. But on the surface, you can't be like, hey, that guy hooked up with a porn star. I'd be like, well, if it was my friend, that's kind of a D-bag thing to do. But undeniably, fine. All right, man, you did your thing. In the same opportunity, if I'm going to say if I were presented with it and I were single, it would likely happen as well. So sure, fine, all good. But I don't know. You put it all together and it's tough. That's just what's tough. So I think the woman president thing, I think the only answer is woman porn star or Democrat who's willing to take a woman to the theater and honk her boobs. All right. Tough loss for USA today. I did see a bunch of stuff about the soccer game going on. I don't follow soccer as well, but did the USA lose? Somebody tell me. Newsom should replace old Joe. I did see a lot of that going around as well. Did Newsom do a good job in California when he was there? That's kind of the last thing I remember about him is that he was in California as governor. Did he get voted out? Did he succeed Arnold? Because Arnold was not terrible, right? Like looking back, like Arnold was, I mean, not good, but not terrible. Not as devastating as you would think a celebrity action star would be. Football in South America, it's a region. Happy late birthday. Thank you. Michael Obama. Oh, okay. All right. Isn't Boba a grandma and still in her 30s? If so, badass. Hot grandma. That's fine. And she's willing to get honked in public. I think all grandmas should be willing to get honked in public. Yes, 2-1. Stormy Daniels lives in Forney. Old Forney Kate. All right, nice. That's thing. I don't think Newsom did a good job. That's what's tough. It's like everything I remember hearing was like, I don't think California got better. That thing is like, it might be one of those weird states where, and this is what's interesting. Like, I've always lived in a Republican-led state. I have never lived in a Democratic-led state. So when I hear people talk about state income taxes, I'm like, oh my God, you have to pay taxes twice? You get more taken out of your paycheck? That's insane. So I've never lived there in one of those types of states. I've visited those states and lived for maybe like 3 months, but never had to establish residence in them to the point where I had to pay significant taxes. So maybe California is just one of those states where it needs to like do that balancing act where it almost has a different leadership than maybe what its constituents necessarily align with in order to keep it well balanced. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a political historian. Don't know. They lost 2-1 to Panama. They need to win over Uruguay to make the next round. What the fuck? Come on, USA. U.S. Mutant Ninja Turtles. We lost to Panama? After the Noriega thing? We lost to Panama? Bullsh. Ann Richards ran the state for a while. Damn right she did. Ann Richards was a good governor. Yeah, income tax is nuts. I agree, Christina Michelle. Yeah, we get taken advantage of in Illinois. Is Illinois one of the bad state tax ones? Like, I work for a company that's based in Virginia. And so they just, I have to talk to Virginia bosses all the time. And they'll randomly mention state income tax. And I don't even know that they have it there. But they just opened up office space in another city in Texas. And they're not from here. So they like brag about Texas like it's this crazy thing. They're like, did you know they've got really affordable office space and no state income tax? And I'm like, yes, I'm from Texas. I'm well aware. I'm very aware that we have no state income tax. Yes. So I don't know. I don't know who should replace. If you were alive between 91 and 95, you lived in a Democratic state. Okay, good to know, David. I had no idea. So that's 91, 95. glory years for me, but I will say I don't know how much of the state's policies I was aware of at the time. I was more aware of what was coming on MTV. In 91 to 95, an odd resurgence of Tom Petty at that time. I think Wildflower's record was maybe 94. This is also around the time of Oasis breaking in. A very fascinating time for white guy rock music for 8 to 9-year-olds is what I'll say. So good to know. Good to know I was living in a Democratic state back then. I didn't know that at all. I thought it hadn't been Democratic since like Lyndon Johnson or something like that. And what an incredible nickname. If you can get the nickname LBJ, incredible. Like every Latino dude in the country is trying to be named LBJ. Just amazing. So Panama took the canal back and kicked U.S. ass in soccer. What next? An old man running the country? Yeah, I'm sorry, David. We did our best. It was fun last night. Damn, Panama 1946? Panama existed in 1946? Let me look it up. When was Panama formed? I'm sure somebody found it. 1903. All right. So yeah, 1946 checks out. I know we blasted some like loud music when we overthrew the government there. I know that. I know we blasted some rock music all times a day. LBJ, yeah. Best highway in town when I was a kid was LBJ. Incredible. An outstanding thoroughfare. I have not driven it as much. I'm a 75 Bush guy now. And I try to avoid the Bush unless it's date night. Then I'm happy to engage. But typically they charge you more when you try to get on the Bush. And then I'll get pinged for $10 every couple weeks. Now that I don't have to go into the iHeart building, don't have to hit the Bush as much. So that's nice. I get to hang on 75 a little bit more. Texas has had more Dem govs than Rep. See, I'm a bad... They didn't teach me that in Texas history. You know what they taught me about? Santa Ana. I think it was a whole year of Santa Ana. And I don't even know that much about Santa Ana. I just know that that's the reason everything's named like San Jacinto and Rio Grande. They're like, because the reason is because we used to speak Spanish here, I think. And then that's why Six Flags is named Six Flags. But man, I had no idea we had more Democratic governors than Republicans. No clue. No idea. Too much Bush talking? Can't help it. The Bush was tapping you. Yeah, he's dying. It's tough. Yeah, the Bush is a tough thoroughfare because it costs so much to get on that Bush nowadays. You got to do a full date night. It's a whole thing. And then the tolls, too, of course, as you can imagine. No, never skied off that Bush. Those tall, like, loop arounds when you get onto the tollway or when you're getting back onto 75, I do worry about skeeting off there every now and then, but no, never slid off. Santa Ana got caught eating chicken and sleeping at San Jacinto. Yeah, see, I feel like they spent an entire year in 7th grade, and I was out in a portable. And I think one of the teachers might have died during the year, so we had a substitute for a lot of it. I feel like it was nothing but battles. Like, all I learned about Texas history was battles, battles, battles. So, that's it. That's all I learned during Texas history. Don't know anything else. In conclusion, Joe Biden lost the debate. But Trump will probably also lose the debate once the fact checkers actually check everything he said. Counterpoint, I don't know that Joe Biden said anything truthful either because he probably has dementia too. So it might have just been two people up there rambling, and then we watched it. So that's on us. We watched it. I think we've got a big problem. I don't know what it is because I'm not smart enough to solve it or identify it. But hopefully it's a learning moment for us all where we say, hey, let's elect the Boebert boob honker next time instead of either one of these two guys. All right, and I'll take you out with this. Biden did look dead.
Tavares.
Right in the butt?
No. Blake.
This is the best.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, in Panama, was separated from Colombia in 1903. So take that, Colombia.